I was talking to my therapist. My meetings are every Friday. And I was talking to her, and not only was it the first time I used the word depressed in terms of saying why I was, is that I feel like I'm just working. Like, not only do I feel like a bit overworked, mind you, I got into a space where I thought I was fucking done with my man, and I was like, oh, not gonna have a boyfriend anymore? Let me apply for jobs. Bitch, I was applying for jobs just to like fill in maybe any empty space that I thought I was about to prepare myself
to avoid
for.
how you were about to feel.
And she said that she was like, we have to work on you not acknowledging, just confronting your emotions. And what I do is I work to not have to confront my emotions. But what I was telling her was my problem outside of COVID, and COVID bringing a lot of things as far as the unknown goes to a lot of us in our jobs. I was just like, I just feel like I'm working. Normally I'm able to work with a 1-year set plan or goal, 5-year plan or goal. And my friend came in to town, shout out to Jazz. She's an attorney, by the way, in LA. And she was like, so what are your 5-year goals? And she asked me this literally right before my therapy session. And I literally almost broke down to her. And I was like, what sucks is in this space, not only is it ever changing, I've been podcasting now for 5 years and I left my career for it. But when I was in school, and when you're in school, also when you're a teenager, let's start from the very beginning. When you're a teenager, you know to finish high school. You know when you finish high school, you got to go to college. Yeah. You know when you finish college, you got to get a job. You know once you get a job and you're situated, now you have to figure out your personal life. And you have to get a husband or a family or buy a home. And there's all of like these natural progressions of life. And now that I'm in a space that I love, but also is ever changing and unpredictable, and I'm only relying on myself. When I was an accountant, my first year, I was a tax analyst, second year analyst, then a senior analyst, then into management. There's always these progressive steps that I don't feel like I have right now in my life. And I talked to her and I was just like, I feel like I'm working, but I don't know towards what. And I said, that becomes really, really, for someone who likes to be in control of not only themselves, their emotions, everyone around them, and what's going on with my life. I like to feel like I'm in control. I said, I completely feel like I'm out of control. And I ended up talking to Bridget shortly after my therapy session. And she said, you know what that is? Your 30s.
That's your 30s.
And it's like I literally hit it when I was in my 30s. And I don't know. I know that you're currently working from home and have a lot to do. I know, Bridget, you're in a pivot space at 35. Yeah. And I just kind of wanted to even bring this conversation to the pod because I know a lot of the people that listen to us are probably fairly in the same space with all the aunties and uncles follow us over here. But I wanted to know, how do both of you get out of the space or rut to where you feel like you're just working to live? How do you just enjoy living? Because right now that's where I'm at. I just feel like I'm working, but I don't know towards what. How do you guys get yourself out of that rut? And how do you guys really like have goals, even if you don't, if that makes sense?
You want to I'll let you go first.
So I don't think that I'm out of that rut. I think that I can identify with how you're feeling, and I'm exploring ways that I'm trying to figure it out. I think for me, I'm in a place where I still have a 9-to-5. I work at an ad agency. It's incredibly demanding. And then I have this podcast, this business that I'm growing, right? And then I have other side stuff that I do on top of that. So I don't have a lot of time to myself. It just feels like the spin. And something that my podcast partner, my best friend Shanti, has been challenging me with and inviting me to consider, because I'm one of these people that I'm like you. Here's the goal. I'm going to get to the goal.
Oh, I'm going to get there. Here's
the goal. I'm going to get to the goal. Blah, 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 right? College, all that, but done. I'm good. Got my job. Good. Right? And so now the goal for me is like buy land. So that's what I'm working towards. But even when I get there, I'm realizing that I get to these goals and then it's just, well, what's the next thing? So her question to me is, well, what is all of that for? Right? How do you want to feel? Not what do you want to do? What are you working towards? How do you want to feel in your life? Right. Do you want to feel tight the way you feel? Do you want to feel this? Do you want to feel that? And once you establish how you want to feel, work your way backwards and figure out what your next step is, what your next goal is. So an example for her is that she is a business owner. She has a Sable Collective, which is a Black hub in Philly for all the things. That's like dope. It's a beautiful boutique where almost everything in it is Black, made by Black women, and she is like making sure that it's accessible to folks.
I love that.
It was a storefront, brick and mortar in it was called Philly people know it's the Gallery, but they call it the Fashion District or some shit now, mall. She had the brick and mortar going super well. I mean, she's staff doing her thing. And then COVID hit. So she had a decision of, does she want to go back to the brick and mortar once the mall opens, right? And she was at the point where she was like, I feel better now. Even though I'm scared, even though having it all online is like new territory, even though I worked so hard, took out loans to be in that mall, right. I did it. And guess what? I felt horrible and I'm not going back. And it's going to look to other people the way it's going to look, right? It's going to like, oh, they crashed because of COVID. Oh no, I don't care. I'm going to live my life so I feel free. Yeah. And so what I've been doing, and I have not figured it out, but I've been writing down, because there's been many a nights, especially like this last week, where I have cried, where I'm just like, I can't rest. I have issues with my neck right now from being so stressed and so overworked and trying to figure out the next thing, where at 3:00 in the morning, I'm getting up and I'm writing out, how do I want to feel? And it's like financial freedom. It's I want to feel the right to rest. I want to feel present.
Do you know what Bridget sent me this week? Again, y'all, I really love Bridget.
I love you too.
So Bridget sent me this reel. Y'all know the TikTokers. But she sent me a reel with the fact that when we're this overworked, we don't look at rest. We don't look at
prioritize it.
Yeah, but we have our ideas of what being productive looks like. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. For a lot of us, even if we work a 9 to 5, my weekend, I felt like shit. Now let me be productive. And what I did was, okay, let me do a doctor's appointment. Let me go grocery shopping. Let me clean the house. And there was never a time to just sit back and take care of me. And so this TikToker made a thing where you can be productive by resting. You can be productive by sleeping. You can be productive by not doing anything. And this idea of productivity for a lot of us is constant work. And it drains us.
And if you can't be productive by resting, if resting makes you uncomfortable, explore why.
Oh, okay, tell me.
Because I feel like rest makes me uncomfortable because my value is caught up in my productivity and what I've achieved.
Yes.
And that is not real. That's why, you were talking about Worth, that movie last week. And it's like, the CEO versus the janitor. Your value is no more than mine.
You are not your job.
You are not your job. Ooh. You are a being. Like when people say human being, you have to look at that word and capitalize the BE, lowercase ing. Being.